All right, everybody. Welcome to the Bear Archery podcast. It's the long-awaited bow launch episode, the best episode of the year. It's like Christmas in September. So we are joined by Ryan Schutz of Bear Archery to give us the rundown of all the new bows, all 10 new bows. And so we're here to just talk about the specs, what has changed on bows, what is new on bows. I will say this episode, more than any other episode in history, has technical difficulties. So I actually start on my cell phone because my Wi-Fi was crashing every 4 seconds. And so started on my phone and then my phone died. So I jumped back to the computer, back on the studio mic. So there's just a whole bunch of technical difficulties, but we've got it all pieced together so you can hear the rundown of the new bow. So guys, here it is, 2025 bow launch with Ryan Schutz. As always, this episode is brought to you by our good friends over at ScentLock. Hope you enjoy it.
With over 90 years of innovation, Bear Archery continues pushing toward the goal of founder Fred Bear, making archery accessible for all. Fred believed the history of the bow and arrow were the history of mankind, and everyone should immerse themselves in the outdoor experience. Welcome to the Bear Archery Podcast, where the mission is simple: to hunt, grow, and inspire others.
Guys, I'm not a gun guy. You're listening to the Bear Archery Podcast. I'm a bow hunter. I enjoy archery. However, guns are a necessity for outdoorsmen. I need an everyday carry pistol. I need a shotgun to shoot birds with. I need a truck gun. I need a gun to shoot coyotes with. I need a lightweight gun to pack in the mountains if I'm on a bear hunt and need backup. There are times where I need a gun. And I am the type of guy, like I said, I don't study guns. I don't know a lot about guns. So when I'm in need of a gun, I just call somebody. My favorite place on earth has become Powder and String Outfitters in Wellington, Kansas. I love the creaky old floor, the rustic decor, the fact that they just take you back to a time where Main Street shops were experts in their trade. It's one of the best feelings walking into that place because you feel like you're walking back in time. Powder and String Outfitters has just launched an online website where you can shop the largest selection of in-stock guns and ammo that you will find anywhere, and the best prices guaranteed. Powderandstring.com. Guys, here's my favorite part. Call them. Ask them questions. Ask them, tell them what you're looking for in a gun, what you want to get out of it, what you want to use it for, and they're going to point you in the right direction. How do I know that? Because I have to do that every time I need a new gun. So guys, go to powderandstring.com for your next gun, for your ammo, for your clips, for all of your hunting accessories, trail cameras, tree stands. They've got it all. They've got archery equipment too, but they are my gun experts that I trust, that I go to all of the time when I've got questions about guns. Powderandstring.com. Go check them out. You can shop online. You can figure it all out. The guns will ship straight to your house. It's an incredibly easy process to go through. Guys, they've got everything you could ever need. Powderandstring.com. All right, Ryan, greatest time of the year. It is new bow launch day. And this is the day that you and your team, you work 365 days a year for this day right here. Before we go on, let me just apologize to everyone. We were having incredible technical difficulties. So yes, I'm in my normal studio, but I'm not using my normal camera or my normal sound system because all of my Wi-Fi is just completely crashed. So I'm on my phone. So I apologize for that. However, I wanted to get this out to you. And I am leaving on an elk hunt this week. And so I had to record the new bow launch podcast before. That way it's ready for you guys to go today. So I apologize for the inconvenience, apologize for the poor video and the poor quality of audio, but I still want to be able to share with you guys these bows. And so, Ryan, in conversation, when we first started talking about this launch, you said that this is the biggest and best launch that you've ever been a part of. So what about this launch? What about today makes you say that about this particular catalog?
So first, without a doubt, the quality, the value, I think, is there. And then, of course, just the size of it. And we talked before. So there's 10 bows that we're going to quickly hit on today. We're going to go more in depth on a few and then just kind of hit the key high points on the other. But 10 in 1 year is massive. It's quite a few more than we generally do or have done. So much volume, or so much just really good value in these bows that we're about to go over, on top of some great technology. So we're able to do quite a bit this year. And then it's, I feel there's some of my kind of favorite all time, just feel like they fit me personally really well. And that always makes you excited as well.
And I've said this every year, and I'm going to continue to say it. That is what is so impressive about Bear Archery. You know, everybody else, they've worked hard all year long to release one flagship. Bear has worked hard. And before you guys say it, like we read the comments, we know, we understand that, you know, some of these bows aren't brand new. Some of these bows are the same as last year, just a couple minor tweaks. However, from top to bottom at every level, whether you're going to be shooting a flagship bow, a mid-level bow, a budget bow, a beginner bow, no matter what you want to classify yourself as, those bows over this year have been touched and they've been improved on. So you're still going to get a better bow because of the work that Bear put in on these bows this year. I will say too, Ryan, one of my favorite comments I get all year long is that I didn't know anything about the bows going into this conversation. And they're right. I've only shot one bow this year from this catalog, and it's this bow right here, the Whitetail INT, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. So that's the bow. That's the only bow I've spent time with at all. It's the only bow I've even touched from this catalog. But I can say that I'm excited about this launch. And so before we jump in, I will say we're going to talk about two bows that have previously already been discussed on this podcast. So we'll start and hit those real quick. But the Adapt 2, we talked about with the boys from the hunting public, so you can jump back 4 or 5 episodes and listen to that and hear their take, hear what they wanted to get out of this bow, hear what they wanted to see changed and improved on. So you can jump back to that episode where we dive really in depth into this bow with the boys from the hunting public. And then the Gamekeeper bow, which I'm very excited about. You can jump back just a few episodes. We're joined by the entire Mossy Oak Gamekeeper crew, Toxie and Cuz and that entire crew to talk about what they love about this bow. Not only that, I would encourage you guys to go listen to it because we talk about just this relationship between the gamekeepers and Bear that is not going to stop at this bow. There's a lot of synergy. There's a lot of good things that are going to happen between Bear and the gamekeeper. So I would highly encourage you to go jump back to that episode too. But give us the rundown. We didn't have you on either of those episodes. So give us like the specs breakdown of the Adapt 2.
All right, so the Adapt 2, it was a really fun bow too this year to launch with those guys. So, I mean, first and foremost, they want a very huntable, shootable bow, which, you know, is a little tough to put in the specs at times. So they want something that they can be accurate and hunt and draw with. You name it, whether they're drawing on their knees, on their butt, whether tree saddle, standing up. I mean, they are just looking for the ultimate hunting weapon, to be honest. So they need it to be ultra quiet, no vibration, extremely smooth in awkward situations. So what we do there is, you know, take what they want and then put that into a bow. So what we did with the specs, a little kind of go over what's different from the Adapt. So like you alluded to, people said, well, what's changed, right? So it's a different riser. So now you've got a different riser, which is going to change the axle to axle of this bow. So we went with the 31-inch axle to axle. Again, they want something shootable. So they don't want to go extreme short like 28, 29, and they don't want to go too long like a 33. So 31 really fit their needs. They still like a lot of brace height and a single cam. So 6.5-inch brace height, single cam bow, which they definitely prefer that single cam for the easy drawability of the bow. But still getting pretty good speed at 320 feet per second and a lot of adjustability. So they understand that they want a lot of people to be able to use this bow. So it goes from 24 inches out to 31, which is huge. It's going to, I mean, basically you start to see like 13, 14-year-olds start to get into that 24-inch depending, and 31 fits almost every full-size adult. I mean, close to it. And then 80% let off. So once you do draw it, it's easy to hold it for a long time and it's smooth, which is kind of what our solo cams are known for, is very smooth, not much valley there. So they wanted that. Then, of course, we added that roller guard last year. So really smooth roller guard for the solo cam. And then we offer it in a bow only, an RTH package, and an RTH Plus. So we call that the Adapt 2 Plus. And that's been fun. We started that last year with the Adapt, but then what we really try to pair it up with is what they're using and what was fun this year. So the biggest improvement, so to say, on this bow, and not like anything we really did last year at all, was we put integrate on these bows. So before in the Bear line, you could only get integrate in the persist bows. So now the Adapt 2 was the first, and you're going to see a trend as we keep going today. The Adapt 2 was, as you see, that continue to flow through our line. So you've got Picatinny rail mount for the sight, and then you got the IMS system for the back for the rest. So, and both of the RTH packages come with Trophy Ridge accessories that are able to fit those. So when you go to the Plus, which is a really fun one, you've got the Swift Duo, which a lot of those guys at the hunting public are shooting, and then you've got the V Biscuit that's integrate as well. And then on just the regular RTH, you've got the Fatal 4 out front, which gives you a great 4-pin sight, and then a V Biscuit as well. So really kind of fits just about everybody in multiple price points there.
Yeah. And I have, well, we talked about it on that first podcast, and I'll say it again. That Adapt 2 Plus package is unbelievable. You're basically getting, and we did the math on that podcast, but if you add it up, you're getting like $200 of free accessories almost. Just unreal. Phenomenal package there. I will tell everybody, if you're looking for a ready to hunt, you don't need to touch it. That would be the package I would go with. Just a phenomenal offering there at a package bow. Now, a bow that a lot of people are excited about. I've gotten already tons of comments, questions, emails, phone calls about this Gamekeeper bow. And I do believe that's part of the reason why, because like I alluded to, and if you can't comprehend and wrap your mind around what a Gamekeeper is, please go back and listen to that episode with the Gamekeeper crew, because I think that's why a lot of people are excited, because this bow represents something more than just a bow. It represents who you are as a hunter. It represents who you are as a conservationist, as a land manager, as a steward of the ground. So I would highly encourage you to go back and listen to that episode, because Toxie gives a beautiful breakdown of what a Gamekeeper is. And I think that's why a lot of people are excited about it. I also think a lot of people are excited about it because, well, it's mossy oak, and bottomland is sexy in everything. So everything is better in bottomland. I think a lot of people are excited about it, but give us, and I touched on the specs a little bit in that podcast, but really, again, we focused more on the relationship between Bear and Gamekeeper, and really just how excited they are about this bow. So walk me through the specs and the development of this bow.
So the specs on this bow are phenomenal. Knowing the bow that you're shooting and how much you like it, which you'll give us a rundown of that in a minute, I think this is a very comparable bow to it with a different cam system. So I think a lot of people that like the Whitetail INT, I think will definitely enjoy the Gamekeeper bow as well. So we did 2 bows with them, the Gamekeeper and the Gamekeeper Junior. And of course, like it was alluded to in that episode, we did this with the purpose, right? So we wanted kind of your dad or anybody that's shooting the Gamekeeper bow, but then you've also got the Gamekeeper Junior that's dressed up very similar. I mean, we want this to be a family. It just fits our values and fits so well. And it's always exciting now that, I used to just get to talk with kind of one partnership bow, and now we've got 2 in the line. It's very fun. But the specs on the Gamekeeper bow. So this is getting a great cam, so kind of a hybrid cam system there. Our DHC system, which I've talked much about that before. So you're getting 330 speed, 80% let off and you're still getting 6.5-inch brace height. So it's important all those kind of go together. So the bow is still extremely smooth and shootable is kind of what we're getting at there. So it doesn't want to stack on you with that brace height. And then it's 30 inches axle to axle. I personally like a shorter bow, so this bow is really exciting for me. And then it's still adjustable. From 27 to 32. So we like to try to make sure that we still have a few bows in the line that are in that 31, 32 inch bow or draw length. So that we kind of fit everybody and that you're still getting somewhat of a good balance there. So people do like that shorter bow. I personally like the shorter axle. And again, you started talking about this with the Adapt 2, but this is also fully integrated. So you get the Picatinny rail out front and the IMS system back or on the back. And then we did tweak the accessories just a little bit. So it's completely mossy oak bottomland. So this bow is camoed up kind of head to toe. So the riser and the limbs and then also the quiver is in bottomlands. So that's the first time that you'll see us do that quiver in bottomlands.
Yeah,
and then on the
those boys were excited about that. They like seeing a quiver in bottomland. I know that.
It's small things, but when you're an archer, all those accessories, they matter. I mean, we all like to put color and extra pops on our bows and write things on them, right? I mean, that's all real life stuff. So I love it when we can ship the bows a little bit more complete on how people are going to adjust them. And so we did the same on the junior. So the junior also gets its complete bottom lamb. So you're getting the bottom lamb on the riser, the limb, and the quiver as well. And then it's a complete bow ready to go. So you get it's got a biscuit, you get a side and a stabilizer, and it's extremely adjustable. It's definitely, people will just mention it's built right off our Royale frame, which we did that on purpose. But what we did is kind of add some upgrades, right? So we added the quiver to stabilizer. We made the quiver in camo, and then we also camoed the whole entire bow. The other Royales are either you're getting like a solid limb color, and then you're getting a few different options. So made it very specific and unique for the gamekeepers.
Yeah, and that's something that again we talked about it in the podcast. I think that's a bow that kids are going to be really excited about because it's a good looking bow. And here's what I've learned, especially having kids and getting kids involved in archery. Kids want something that looks cool. They don't want a bow that looks like a toy. They want a bow that looks like mom and dad's bow, that looks like, a cool compound bow. And so I think that's going to be something a lot of kids are excited about. Bow looks like dad's. It's a cool looking bow for kids. And so I know a lot of kids that are already fired up about that, including Cuz Strickland's grandkids. They're excited about that bow. Before we move on, the Alaskan XT is still on the lineup. Just want to mention that. That was a really cool offering from Bear last year. A really popular bow. I know a lot of guys love that bow. I know Chuck Adams has just wrecked the universe with that bow.
He does like it.
He's killed everything that's moved with that bow. So that's still in the lineup. And then one bow that, we'll start talking about is the Whitetail INT. That's the bow that I've been hiding from you guys on social media. That's that bow there. I'm so excited about it. Here's what I'm excited about. So it is and I said it last year and I said it on several podcasts. I know I said it on the Bow Hunter Planet podcast. We were talking about best budget bows of the year. And really I said that if you wanted integrate, then I would go with the Alaskan. And if you didn't want integrate, then I would go with the Whitetail Max. If integrate was something that was important to you, then the Max, or then the Alaskan XT. The Whitetail, if integrate wasn't important to you, then the Whitetail Max. And then when I heard the Whitetail INT, I literally said, please tell me that's a Max with integrate. And they said, yes, it is. And so that's what we have here. We have a Whitetail Max with integrate. So we've got Picatinny sight mounts and we've got IMS rests. So before he dives into the specs of this bow, my setup, everybody's been asking me about it. My setup for the year is the Whitetail INT. I'm running a Swift Duo with the Picatinny mount. I've got a Hitman stabilizer. That's not a shock stop. I've started pulling off all of the silencer stuff, the little rubber pieces off of my Hitmans. So that's a Hitman stabilizer. And then the Versalite quiver in the shorty mode. So it's lighter and just sits really close into that riser. I love that quiver to death. And then a Propel IMS rest. I don't have the rest on there right now. Took it off to let a buddy shoot it on a hunt he's got going on. But that's a bow I'm really excited about. Give us the specs. And before you give us the specs, let me just say the Whitetail Max last year, and I spent a lot of time with that bow. The Max was, for me, one of the best bows that Bear's ever made. I thought it shot better than the Persist. I shot it better than the Persist. I really, really loved that bow. And a lot of people did. Even a lot of guys at Bear, just talked about how they loved that bow. They loved the grip, the feel, everything. I shot it really consistently, shot it really good. So I'm excited. I'm so excited about this bow. If you didn't check out the Max, go check out the Whitetail INT. Give us the specs of that bow.
So everything you said is correct. So the specs on this bow, it's 338 feet per second, still balanced really well at 31-inch axle to axle, and then 6.5 brace height. You can get the limbs in 45 to 60 and 55 to 70. And then a little bit more cam spec there. So adjustability is awesome on this, 26 to 30. And then this is the EKO cam. So my favorite part of this cam is you can adjust the let off. So been on here a few years in a row. So I'm really big in that our bows the bow should fit you. You shouldn't fit the bow, right? So the more adjustments and adjustability we can give on the bow, the happier I can tell you we are at Bear. So this let off you can set 75, 80, 85, and 90. So you can really make this bow fit you, which is important to us. And then all the great specs that you just mentioned that the Whitetail Max had. So, I mean, you're getting in-limb dampeners, and riser dampeners. So, I mean, the bow itself has very, very little vibration. I love the balance of this bow at the 31-inch with the EKO cam system, and I think that's what people fell in love with the Whitetail Max. And then as Integrate just continues to gain popularity on the market, I mean, to add it on there was kind of a no-brainer for us. And then it allows you to get some of these, I mean, really all these top-end accessories you can put right on it. And I love that you called out that you're using the Swift Duo, which is also what we included in the Adapt 2. So many people or the Adapt 2 Plus. So many people are just gravitating to those better type accessories on their bow, which is great. What we want it to fit you.
I've played with a lot of sights. I spent a lot of time playing with a whole lot of other high-end sights. And honestly, I've spent a lot of time playing with a whole lot of rests. And let me just say, and I think I can say this, if not, I'll get in trouble later. The Propel is every bit as good as a Hamskea for $100. And I've spent a lot of times with a Hamskea, and what you're getting is a $100 Hamskea. It is a phenomenal rest. Whisper quiet. I was actually talking with the guys from Trophy Ridge, one of the engineers over there, and I actually did some sound tests. Same bow, same setup with a Hamskea versus a Propel, and the Propel was quieter. So phenomenal rest. I love that rest. The Swift Duo, in my opinion, one of the best sights you can get, especially on a quote unquote budget. I know they're still expensive, but they're nowhere near as expensive as some of the other sights in the world. So especially on a budget, if you're looking for a good site without having to take out a loan or refinance your home, like that's the site that I would go with. Phenomenal site. I love the way it functions. I love the way it shoots. So those two accessories there from and the Versalite, I should say. The Versalite, a lot of people talk about that, like and maybe I shouldn't mention other brands. I don't know. But a lot of people talk about the airlock from Tight Spot, how quiet it is, how light it is, how simple it is. In shorty mode with one gripper, that's lighter than the airlock, and it works just the same. I can get it as close to my riser as I want, and it's got lights in the hood. This is the only quiver on the market that does that. It's phenomenal design. So that package, and I know I'm jumping back to the Adapt 2, but that package is just unreal. Honestly, the only accessory I would change on that package if I was to shoot that bow, I would put a Propel IMS on it. Other than that, those are the accessories I would buy. So incredible offering there from Bear. And I'm excited to see IMS and Picatinis on these bows because if you've not ever shot one of those, it really does make a difference. It really balances your bow better. Everything's more streamlined. Just you can get your quiver in tighter because your rest doesn't stick out as far and your sights don't stick out as far. It balances your bow so much better, and it really is just a better system. So I'm excited to see that offered on these bows.
Guys, I am a big believer in custom built aftermarket strings. Basically, the moment I pull my bow out of the box, whether it's a new compound, a new recurve, a new longbow, I'm going to be putting a custom built aftermarket string on that bow. At Dominant Strands, they're going to be using high quality fibers from BCY, like a low wax 452X. The low wax content and the special way that they pre-stress and pre-stretch those strings and cables make for a very, very stable set of strings. They're going to last longer and they're going to shoot better. There's going to be very little peep rotation. There's going to be very little stretch over time. You are going to be a lot happier in the long term. You're just going to have a lot better shooting experience when you upgrade those strings to an aftermarket custom built set of strings. Plus, you can customize them any way you want. Now, I'm also a huge believer in custom built strings for a longbow or recurve. Why? Because coming from the factory, they're not going to be using the highest quality materials. They're not going to be pre-stretching those strings over long periods of time. Whereas, again, if I call up Dominant Strands, they're going to build the best set of strings for that bow. I'm going to walk them through what I want out of that string, what I want out of that bow, and they're going to build a set of strings exactly to spec out of the best materials for that bow. Guys, a custom set, the best string you could ever buy for your recurve or longbow, is going to cost you about $30. That is the most bang for your buck that you can get when upgrading your longbow or recurve. You're going to get an incredible shooting experience upgrade for just $30. So I encourage everybody, the moment that recurve or longbow comes out of the box, upgrade it to a custom built string. Guys, the people over at Dominant Strands, they are unmatched when it comes to their customer service. You're going to call them up. You're going to talk to your string builder, the guy that's going to be building your strings. He's going to ask you what you're looking to get out of the bow. He's going to ask you about your bow. He's going to ask you about your nocks. He's going to ask you everything about your bow setup so he can build you the best set of strings for your bow. Guys, I would highly encourage everybody, no matter the bow, no matter the manufacturer, to consider upgrading your strings to a nice set of custom built aftermarket strings. My boys over at Dominant Strands, they do it and they do it very, very well. Their turnaround time is incredible. Their attention to detail is unmatched. Guys, give them a call for your next set of strings, and I promise you, you will be happy.
One thing that we'll hit on that I know a lot of people are going to say is not a lot of change is the Persist 33. Now, I love a 33-inch axle, 32, 33. That's just like music to my ears. So I love that bow. But what else? Did anything else change from the Persist to the Persist 33?
Not really. As specs go, I mean, so it's 340 feet per second. It's 33-inch axle to axle. The brace height is 6.25. You're getting your same amounts of adjustments. So you can get 45 to 60 limbs or 55 to 70s, and then it's 26.5 to 30.5, and it's still the EKO cam system. So you're able to do your 75, 80, 85% let off right on the cam. So what you started off with is correct. People were wanting a little bit longer bow in the flagship, so that's what we really gave them. I mean, the Persisted phenomenal for us. We think it's a great shooting bow. It still tests to be one of our most vibration-free bows. So you get all that, plus, of course, all the specs that I had before. It's completely integrated as well. But then you're getting that performance of that EKO cam at 340 feet per second, but now you're getting a little bit more, people call it shootability, so to say, now that it's longer at that 33-inch axle to axle.
Yeah, and I know, like Brian from Mike's Archery always does, some pretty in-depth sound testing. And the Persist was the quietest bow he's ever tested, not just from Bear, from any company. So it was whisper quiet, vibration free. Every friend that I had shoot that bow last year was just mind blown at how good that bow shot. The Persist was a phenomenal offering, and I'm really excited. Now, will the Persist stay in the lineup, or will it just be the
Yep.
33?
Nope, the Persist is still in the lineup. So again, what we're trying to do is, offer as many bows as we can within reason that fits what everybody wants, right? So 33-inch bow is a great length, but there's still definitely a market in some people that want that shorter axle to axle bow, maybe depending on their draw length. So I'm really big that your draw length should play a role in the axle to axle you shoot, but that's just me personally, right? So everybody kind of has their hunting style that maybe dictates the length of the bow. So nope, the Persist is still in the line. So you still definitely can get that if you like that. I wouldn't call it very short bow, but a little shorter than 33.
Yeah, absolutely. So really cool offerings from Bear there. Now, let's get into the bows that you're most excited about. You've acted like a little kid on Christmas about these bows that we're about to talk about. And again, I haven't shot these bows, but I know one of the remakes of this bow was one of the most sold bows in Bear history. So walk us through the next bows that you're most excited about.
All right, so there's kind of 3 to 4 bows that really get me excited, and then they all have kind of their merits. So start with so in the Legend series, we have the Legend 30. So what's great about this bow is really putting the INT bow on this is amazing. So what I love about this bow is it's going to give you still really good performance, but it's going to give you with our XR cam, which has huge amounts of adjustment for this type of performance. Plus, now you're getting integrate in it. So the Legend 30, you're going to get 320 feet per second, 30-inch axle to axle, which I like the little bit shorter axle to axle, but you're still getting 6.5 brace side. But this bow is adjustable from 14 to 70 pounds and 18 to 31 inches. I
Oh
mean,
my
so
gosh.
truly we want you to buy other bows, but this bow is pretty much going to fit almost anybody as they're growing. And it's an 85% let off bow. So, which fits just about perfect there. You see a lot of people like to settle their bow in that 80 to 90, percent let off. So 85 is kind of falls right in the middle, just fits really well there. But then of course we do have this as a bow only, and then our MSRP on that is $529, which is just a great value. And then you can also get the RTH, which is going to give you an integrated rest and integrated sight, and then of course the quiver and the stabilizer. But for $629, just the adjustability and the value in this package is it's really unparalleled. So I love this cam. I think this cam shoots phenomenal for the adjustment it has. So it's one of the bows I try to really get archers started in if possible, depending on their budget.
Absolutely. And that's going to be a bow that here's where I'm going to say that bow is going to be brilliant. That bow is going to be brilliant for a mom that's starting archery. And then once you get into it, you want to graduate, get a nicer bow, you can pass it down to your kids. They can start shooting. It's going to be brilliant for the high school kid that, really is getting into archery and wants a good bow, but doesn't have a lot of money to spend, but they still want to be able to grow with that bow. This is kind of going to get them through all of those stages of starting all the way into adulthood and being able to shoot any animal in North America with it. So I think those two situations are really good. If we're talking kids, I would probably look at one of the next bows we're going to talk about. Although this could work for a kid. However, I think it's going to be a little bigger, a little heavier for a kid. We can get the draw links in there, but I don't think that my 6-year-old could handle the size and weight of this bow compared to the other ones that we're going to talk about next. But I do think that this bow is going to be brilliant for a woman with a shorter draw length that still needs a bow that's going to perform well. You need a cam that's going to generate energy. At a shorter draw length, a very energy efficient cam becomes a lot more important. Because my wife had a 25-inch draw length, 26-inch draw length, only pulling 50 pounds. I need a cam that's still going to be able to generate a lot of energy for her, which is why she loved the Legend XR for a long time. But this would be the bow that I would really say is going to shine bright in that category. Somebody who is getting into it, wants to graduate, pretty soon, that they know they're going to be serious in it. But it's not just going to be a bow that's going to go to waste. You can pass it down to a kid or a teenager or whatever. So really cool offering here from Bear in the 30. What else you got?
All right, here's the big one. It's the Legit Max. So the Legit has been a monster bow for us. It just fits everybody is really kind of how it works. So anytime we touch it, we put tons of thought into it, right? So what we're able to do is add integrate to it. We're just huge into the integrate. I mean, it is to put integrate on our line like we've been able to do this year is just really unspeakable when you talk about the value. You go out there, look at bows that had integrate for the sight and rest, and we're hundreds and hundreds of dollars less than them, that we're able to offer that to our customers. So we're very excited about that. So the Legit, I mean, the big reason for the Legit, it's all about that adjustability, right? And then for the price point that you're going to get it. So the MSRP on this bow is $479, and you're going to get a fully integrated bow, meaning that it's got the Picatinny rail for the sight and the IMS for the rest, which is amazing. With that, you still get tons of adjustments. So your speed is 315, axle to axle is 30 inches. It's got a great brace height at 6.25. So the weight adjustment is 10 to 70 pounds, and then 14 to 30, 70% let off. So to get those specs with that at the value for 475, and then this is also one of those, I call it fun in our line because we offer it in so many different camo and color variations. I mean, so this is offered in bottomlands. It's offered in our Fred Bear camo with green accents. You've got it in black, in throwback black, but then also in Veil Whitetail, and then Mossy Oak Roots. So their brand new pattern that they've just launched this year, this bow is available in. Also, we do a black and blue highlight that we've talked about in the past. It's actually one of my favorite bows. I tend to shoot it quite a bit, just a little bit different. But then you can also get Toxic, which has some green accents, Muddy Girl that has some kind of pink and purple accents, and then Wildfire that would have some of those kind of like red and orange. So you can kind of fit this bow to your personality, which I love. And that's what archery is about.
Yeah, and the Legit, correct me if I'm wrong, is one of the most sold bows in bear history, for good reason. Because again, anybody can shoot it. I mean, I've had my children in that bow, my wife in that bow. I've shot that bow. I've been to a TAC event where you can see a dude over here dropping bombs at 70 with it, and then a 7-year-old shooting it over here. Like literally on the same line, I've seen dudes dropping 70-yard bombs and 7-year-old kids shooting it, which is just incredible. Anybody in the world can shoot this bow, and that's what makes it such an important bow, if you ask me, because archery is for everyone, and this bow is a testament to that. So you've taken it, you've made it better. So kudos to you guys. So before you go and say like this bow wasn't, there's not much to change. All I did was put integrate on it. Again, they're taking a bow that is already such an incredible offering and improving it. So really good offering from Bear and the Legit. But we also did a remake of the Cruiser.
Yes.
What do you got there for me?
So so this bow is obviously kind of where we could like to say, introduce kids to archery, or maybe their next step, right? So lots of times we like to think the Royale is definitely powerful enough to hunt with, but the Cruiser G4, which is our new cruiser, is 100% strong enough to start to hunt with, and has just tons of adjustment. So same deal there. What we did there is it's got an all new riser. Looks a little bit more like our Legit bows in the past, but so really stable shooting bow for that platform. And then you're getting 315 speed. It's 29 inches axle to axle, so a little shorter than the Legit, which is purposeful. That way it balances, especially if there's younger shooters that's going to use this. 6.25 brace height. 10 to 70 pounds of adjustment, and 14 to 30, and then it's 75% let off. So out of my new bows, this is the only new bow that we launched this year that is not integrate. So this has an MSRP of $449, which was important to us that we kept this price, kind of starting little bit lower. That way, we want to get people into archery. I mean, that's been the theme here. I mean, we've talked about it off and on this. I mean, we've got all these bows that are made in the USA over 90 years now, important to us. Fred always wanted to make sure it was available to the masses. So can't forget about youth and introductory archery when you're doing that. So we don't. So the Cruiser G4 is important to us as all the other bows.
Yeah, and that's something that I am so passionate about. If you step foot in that factory in Gainesville and just see the way these bows are produced and see that from every step, from the cutting out of the blanks to the painting to the assembly, everything is done right there. Everything is machined and made right there. It's incredible. And I'm so impressed that even a bow like the Cruiser at 449 that by every stretch of the word is a budget bow, is made in America right here. That's just incredible to me.
But yeah, the Cruiser G4 is a bow that I would choose for a younger kid trying to get started because of the weight. They can maneuver it better. They can handle it better. And then if they're younger, I'm going to look at something like the Royale. But that's why I said I would look at the Cruiser over the other one, just because of the weight and kids being able to handle it easier. I think we have one more bow, the Species XT, correct?
We do. I would add, I feel like the Royale, the Cruiser, and the Legit, it's all worth, we all get to go to pro shops and stuff like that, and all these bows are usually available in those shops. And I like to pick shops that have those, because even though maybe your archer's not new, I can tell you we put a lot of development into the weight and how it balances on the Legit and the Cruiser G4. So when we very first, I think I've shared this story before, but when the first Legit came up, I can tell you at that point, I have a daughter and she is 8 years old, and the Legit balanced great with that. Now she did start to shoot before that and had been shooting Cruisers before she kind of graduated to the Legit. So just because she was able to. So how they hold that bow in the offhand is very key. And even though they might be able to pull a bow back easy, it's really important to see how they're struggling on or not struggling with that offhand. So couldn't agree with you more on making sure the weight of the bow fits them as well, which is why we offer so many bows with different mass weights as well.
Absolutely. And that's important for grown adults too. Some guys like a heavier bow. Some guys like a lighter bow. Some guys, they want light bow, heavy stabilizers. I mean, it's all about how it balances and how it shoots for you.
You bet.
So consider all of those things when you go to buy a new bow, and shoot all the bows and figure out, how you like it to balance, how you like it at the shot. Do you want it to fall forward? Do you want it to stay still? I mean, all of that stuff comes into consideration when you're buying a new bow. Run me through the details of the Species XT.
All right, so the Species XT is another solo cam bow. So we went over the Adapt before. This is a little bit shorter bow is what it is. So, and then we also offer this in an RTH Extra package, which really gives you everything you need when you buy this bow. So the RTH Extra comes with the release, the stabilizer, the sling, 5 arrows, with broadheads and with field points. So, but that's only on the extra package. The regular RTH package comes with what we normally talk about, the sight, rest, quiver, stabilizer. But the specs on this bow, it's 320 feet per second. You're getting a little bit longer brace height, so it's 6 3/4 of an inch. So very forgiving bow, and 30-inch axle to axle. So I like a shorter bow, so this kind of fits that bill. Tons of adjustability in this, 23.5 to 30.5, 80% let off, which is nice and what you see on solo cams. And then you can get this in 2 weight configurations, so 45 to 60 and 55 to 70. So I think, if you're looking for something very smooth to draw, this fits the bill. And, so does the Adapt as well. But some people like that shorter axle. So really giving you some options with some different specs as well as a different price point.
And might I just say that the Species is loved by many. A lot of people love the species. In fact, a lot of guys, if you ask them, like a lot of pro shop guys, if you ask them what's the best budget bow, what's the best bow for my money, a lot of guys say the species. And so this is a bow that I think a lot of people are going to be excited about. A lot of people are going to look at as an upgrade. And so really cool offering from Bear. Ryan, I've said it every year. You guys outdid yourself. You did incredible. There's a lot of bows I'm excited about. There's a lot of bows that anybody can be excited about. And that's what's so exciting about this catalog is that everybody can look and find something new. Everybody can look and find an upgrade. Every bow from last year has been touched in some way, been improved on in some way. I mean, 10 bows in a year is just unthinkable. So, Ryan, kudos to you guys. Guys, I would highly encourage you. Go check out these bows at a shop, shoot them all. And please, I beg you, don't just look at a price tag and say, I'm not looking for a budget bow. Shoot all of these bows, shoot the Alaskan, shoot the Legend 30, shoot the INT, shoot all of these bows, because I promise you, you're going to be blown away.
Guys, there's not many things that I'm going to tell you to stop and do right now. One of those things is to stop and go join Pope & Young right now. It's $45 for the entire year to be a member of Pope & Young. And what that does for you is that helps to ensure your rights as a bow hunter. Pope & Young is constantly fighting for your rights as a bow hunter. They are the national bow hunting organization in North America. They exist to protect your rights as a bow hunter. They are all the time going before state legislators to fight for your rights and to continue protecting your rights as a bow hunter. The record book exists in the first place because somewhere between us and the Indians, people had lost sight that bow hunting was a lethal way of harvesting big game. And so Glenn St. Charles and his group of cohorts, they started the record book so they could take it to different states and show that bow hunting is, in fact, a ethical way of harvesting big game. So guys, don't get caught in Pope & Young only being a record book. They are your voice for bow hunters, and there's power in numbers. So I would highly encourage you to join today because we need to stand together to protect our rights. Also, what you might not know is if you've bought a Bear bow, you can go and register that bow, and you're actually going to get a free Pope & Young membership. Bear Archery is such a believer in the mission of Pope & Young and what they stand for and what they do to protect our rights that they are going to buy your first year's membership. So if you've bought a bow, go online and register that bow, and you're going to get a free year's membership to Pope & Young. But guys, I would encourage you, stop right here, right now, and go join Pope & Young because we have to protect our rights as bow hunters.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. You guys did a phenomenal job. Guys, go find you a shop and check them out.